Okay, hello everyone. My name is Mark and this is Why I Hate the World. And today we're going to be talking about objectivism. And for people of you that don't know, objectivism is a philosophy which was created by Ayn Rand, right? And if anyone out there doesn't know, if you're not familiar with Ayn Rand, she was a Russian fiction writer, and when the Soviets took over, they confiscated all the wealth from her family, and then she was exiled, I think. And she went on to write a bunch of novels. You know, the most well-known is Atlas Shrugged, and she's generally seen as one of the forebearers of the modern libertarian movement, right? Which is why, you know, I'm making this video. And you know, I would say that she comes off as a stingy, dried-up bitch, and, you know, who's a little butthurt over the Soviets stealing all her money, but that would be uncalled for. But anyway, this video, I got a comment on one of my videos from a guy who told me to go read one of her books, you know, and to stop watching MSNBC, and, you know, like, I don't even have cable, but whatever. And he told me to go read one of her books, and he called me a dragon hoodie, right? Which I admit I had to look that one up because, you know, I rest assured I stopped caring about shit like that 15 years ago. I mean, anyway. But, you know, I admit that I've never actually read any of her books, mainly because it doesn't really seem to interest me. You know, I've looked up a few of them in the plot summaries, and it sounds like boring fucking bullshit. You know, I read stuff that, you know, I like science fiction and horror and Lovecraft and, you know, that kind of thing. Stuff with monsters and head explosions and that kind of crap. I could give a shit about a bunch of assholes making trains, you know. And apparently in all of her books there's always a part where a guy goes on a huge monologue that, you know, the purpose of which is to, like, express Ayn Rand's personal philosophy, and it's like, fuck that, but whatever. This got me thinking about objectivism in general, you know, and what it's all about. And I started reading up on it, and you know, the thing is that it's actually pretty logical, you know. It comes off pretty logical, but then there's like a very, very bad flaw in this philosophy, and it actually explains a lot, you know, a lot of it explains a lot of the just really selfish and backwards attitudes of just right-wingers in general, not just libertarians, but anybody that follows this objective. You know, it's got a very, very bad flaw that a lot of people twist around to justify really bad things, right? So, you know, an overview, very brief overview of objectivism is now in order, and really what it is, it's a philosophy based around the idea that, well, okay, so here's the first tenet. First tenet is that objective reality exists outside of the mind. So everything around here exists outside of your personal perception of it, right? And, you know, A is equal to A, you know, something is there even if you're not there to see it. You know, if a tree falls in the wood, does it make a sound? Yes. Okay, that's essentially it, right? Second tenet is that the only way that you can effectively interact with the outside world is through intellect and reason. Okay, which, you know, and I can't disagree with that either. That's awesome, right? And as such, objectivism objectivism objects things to things like you know, faith and you know, that kind of idea. The idea that you can receive knowledge of something through other methods than, like, you know, scientific reasoning and observation of evidence, right? You know, they reject, so objectivists tend to be atheists, right? They don't believe in, like, you know, divine revelation and that kind of thing, which is, you know, that's awesome too. I totally can agree with that. I mean, personally, I'm not an atheist, but, you know, probably should be, right? I'm a little agnostic myself, but whatever. That's a different video. So the last one, the problem I have with it is when you apply these, you know, when you the logical extension of these two, according to Ayn Rand, is that the only achievement that a man can morally work towards is the development of this reason. Because since reason is the only way that you can effectively interact with the outside world, then the only moral action someone can engage in is the development of this reason, right? And hence, you know, to work towards survival, right? And it logically extends from that the only moral action you can engage in is one that benefits, that works towards the achievement of your own goals. Essentially, it makes selfishness a virtue, right? Now, in so much that, you know, the idea of selfishness being a good thing, I don't really object to that either, because to one extent or another, we all do that, okay? You know, you do have to look out for yourself, right? Because, you know, you can't be 100% altruistic, you know, and give away everything you own and whatever, you know. And that is one of the criticisms that you hear in a lot of, like, ancient religions, you know, Jesus Christ, sell everything you own and follow me. It's like, well, you can't really do that. I mean, you could, but not everybody can handle that kind of thing. And what kind of life is that? You know, like, not everyone can do it, okay? It's something to strive for, you know. And, you know, according to this, objectivism says, just rejects that completely. And I think that's the problem, you know. It's that the idea that selfishness should be a virtue. It's like, no, selfish should not be a virtue. It's something you should be avoided, you know. But, so, you know, but this is where it starts getting a little crazy. It's like, okay, I mean, according to this, the idea is that since any action that you do has to directly benefit your own goals, right, then any action that you engage in that doesn't directly benefit your own goals is not worth engaging in. So, for instance, let's say you have a talent, right? A talent like you like to draw things, paint things, like me. You know, I'm an artist, right? I painted this thing right here. See this painting right here, the little green giant guy. That's something I painted, right? And I have websites and shit out there that you can check out that has my artwork on it. But anyway, according to this, if your goal is the attainment of wealth, which it is for a lot of people, and you have a talent, and your talent does not directly benefit your goal, then the talent is not worth engaging in. So if you're an artist and you like to paint and draw things, but you don't make any money off of it, then you shouldn't be wasting your time with it, is essentially it, right? And that kind of, that's bullshit, okay? I mean, you can extend that to anything, you know, playing a video game, you know, watching a movie, reading a book, going out with a girl, you know, like all kinds of, you know, having fun with, you know, raising your kids and taking them to Disneyland and whatever. And, you know, if it doesn't directly benefit your goals, then according to objectivism, you shouldn't do it. And what kind of life is that? You know, it's like, what the fuck do you do then? Constantly work all fucking day? Like, it's bullshit, okay? I mean, it's fucking lame. But anyway, even that is still kind of, I mean, you can say that, well, your goal is to have fun, right? It's like, okay, I can do that, right? Still, the real problem is when you start applying this philosophy towards your interactions with other people, okay? And, I mean, if you think about it, it's like, all right, if selfishness and egotism, right, if that's the logical consequence of working towards your own goals only, right, then, and if it's actually immoral to engage in any activity which doesn't further along those goals, then the only way, according to objectivism, that you can morally interact with people is, with other people, is like insofar as they're able to contribute to your advancement of your own goals, right? So basically, the only way you can value people is by what you can get out of them. All right, and that, I'm sorry, I can't handle that. That's fucking bullshit. Okay, I despise people like that. Basically, you know what I'm talking about? It's like you're somebody that just uses you for what you have and not who you are. Fuck those people. All right, it's like, you know, I mean, basically, according to this philosophy, there's no room for compassion, right? There's no room for charity, right? There's none of that shit. According to this, it's like if somebody out there isn't worth, like, like you only give love and respect and all that to somebody who's worth it, worth it, right? Well, how exactly is somebody worth it according to objectivism? Well, they're worth it if they directly benefit you. It's like, fuck that, dude. That's fucking ridiculous. I mean, now it starts making sense though, because especially when you start talking about conservatives and libertarians and shit like that who actually follow this person. Sales of Atlas Shrugged went off the fucking charts as soon as Obama became elected, and we had those bank bailouts and shit like that because all these people, this is the kind of shit that they believe in, right? And it starts making sense. Now you can see how all the conservatives and the libertarians and the other assorted right-wingers can take away badly needed social programs and then somehow frame that into a context of helping the people that they're taking the programs from. It starts making sense now. So because according to them, doing so, giving these people help is an immoral act because it doesn't directly benefit them like themselves. Okay, I mean, and it's ridiculous. I mean, according to objectivism, helping people who can't help themselves is a bad thing, because the only moral act you should engage in is one that directly benefits you, and if helping sick people or poor people or homeless people doesn't directly benefit you, then fuck them, because they're not worth it, all right? And this is the problem that I have with objectivism. It's this anti-altruism, okay? And like I said before, altruism is something that not everyone can, you can't be 100% altruistic, okay? Not everything you do is totally selfless, right? But it's something that you should strive for. And I mean, there's different competing schools of thought when it comes to altruism. Like you have what's his name, Immanuel Kant or whatever his name is, some philosopher. Is that his first name? I think it is. Kant, and basically says that an act is not moral if it doesn't require sacrifice. So like, if I give $1 to a homeless guy, that's not moral. Or it's only kind of sort of moral, but if I give him $1,000 because it's actually a sacrifice on my part, then it's really moral. It's like, you can measure this kind of thing, and it's up for debate, but the idea that it's wrong for me to give $1 to a homeless guy because I'm somehow enabling him because he isn't worth it, that's fucking a load of crap, right? That's bullshit. I'm sorry, dude. I mean, and now you can see why these people act this way. You can see why, like, the conservatives and shit like that, they stand in the way of things like universal health care, or they stand in the way of stopping the drug war, or allowing people, gay people to get married, or like they want to outlaw, abortion and shit like that, or they stand in the way of fucking stopping wars in the Middle East, or public financing of elections, or government regulating businesses and all that crap, because if it doesn't directly benefit them, then fuck it. Who cares? That's basically what they're thinking. It's like, why should I pay for this when I get no direct benefit? It's because, the thing is because you do get benefit, because you benefit society, indirectly benefits you, but, these people, they're fucking incapable of believing this shit. So this is my main problem with objectivism, and by extension, also the problem that I have with all of the political and personal, all the political philosophies and the political parties and everything that are on the right side of the spectrum. It's because of this anti-altruism shit. Because I think that many of the problems that we have, not just in America, but in the entire world, many of the problems that we have could be solved if people were just a little bit more altruistic, okay? I mean, especially those problems concerning hunger, all right, poverty, or access to medical care, or pollution, right? Those things, if people were just a little bit more, if they were a little more altruistic and a little more giving, right, we could do a lot to end problems like that. I mean, will we ever be able to completely solve them completely? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, people on the left kind of have this fantasy that if we just raise taxes a little bit more, we would have this kind of like perfect existence, like in Star Trek, where no one's hungry and all that shit, and everybody's educated and all that. And that's never gonna probably fucking happen. But there is a lot that we can do to alleviate the suffering of other people if everyone was just a little more altruistic, And I think it's actually, I think it's very detrimental, not just to the world, to have this type of attitude that, you don't deserve it, I'm not helping you. That kind of that attitude is setting us back. You know, it's backwards. It's very like, I don't, it's like detrimental to the human race almost. You know, like, and I just want to say before I leave here, if you are one of these people that believes in this kind of thing, in this objectivism, if you believe in that, you know, if you really think that it's a bad thing to help other people, right, then I want to challenge you to just try it for a little while. You know, go outside and just try being a little more altruistic. You know, try giving to charity, try helping people when it doesn't give you any direct benefit. You know, help somebody, you know, give a guy, you know, $5 who's like, you know, give a homeless guy $5 or something, right? You receive no benefit from that. You know, you're not even really sacrificing anything, but, you know, just try it, okay? Be helpful, right? Just try, go out and help people who need help, and try to not use people who are like, you know, like, don't treat people as resources, you know, treat them as people, you know. Your girlfriend is not somebody that you just get with just to have sex with her. It's like, no, you're supposed to actually, you know, if you enjoy being around her, you know, the sex is actually secondary. That's how it should be, right? Just try it. Try not treating people like you own them, okay? And if you can't get anything out of them, then they're not worth anything. Try not doing that and watch what happens, all right? You're gonna find that when you treat people nice, you know, when you're nice to people, right, and you help them when they need help, and you don't act like a raging bucket of dicks when you don't get what you need, right, then people tend to be nicer to you, right? You tend to have a better just interaction with everyone, right? You have less arguments, you fight less, right? And people genuinely like you, right? And try it, right? Watch what happens. I mean, don't take my word for it. You know, do an experiment, right? Use your rational fucking mind, right? Do an experiment and look at the evidence afterwards, right? And you're going to find that, you know, altruism actually is a virtue, okay? And it is something that you should really strive for. And you really can, even by little small interactions with small people that, you know, on the surface don't seem to make any difference, right, or mean anything, actually does make the world a better place. All right. Adios, folks.